Hi, I'm Jay with Fable and Fiber, and despite it being into the throes of October, it's still hot. I have my windows open to save on electricity and I am dying, so I hope the fan noises aren't too loud. But I got a pack of paint by number canvases from Amazon, so we can try it and see if it's worth it. I did, full disclosure, get these for review purposes, so I didn't pay for these, but you can see what they look like up close if my camera will focus. They have the little numbers, and it does come with paint and a couple paint brushes and hooks on the back. We're going to go ahead and pop this open and see what's inside, because I have not even opened it yet. So it does come in a 4-pack, if I can get it open. I didn't bring my box cutter in here because I was like, I can probably just pop it open and then watch me struggle. So it comes with 4 images. So I took this one off, which has its paint and paintbrushes and everything in it. And actually the one underneath it also had paint and paintbrushes and the hooks in it. Oh, picture just went flying. So you can see what each one's design is in the thing. I absolutely love this one because it's lavender and books. Whoa, white balance going crazy there. It's lavender with books. All 4 of these are in the theme of lavender, which I love. This one is also lavender with a book, which I really like. And every single one has the paint separate from the canvas and has new brushes. So I do kind of like this because if you were getting together with a group of friends to do this as an activity, then you could each pick a canvas and do this independently and have your own tools to work with. I don't foresee these being the highest quality brushes, but we will check it out and see. I think I actually want to start with the stacked books in lavender, nor my very stained nails. I've been working on a lot of crafts lately, and my nails have gotten very stained from it. So in this, you do have paint, each one with a number on it, because it is a paint by number set, and it is vacuum sealed. So that makes me hopeful that the paint will not have dried out. I have had some of these kinds of things before where the paint doesn't exactly hold up well, and I'm hoping that this means that it won't be dried out. So it looks like 12 total colors in this design, and we've got the pieces to hang it, and I'm going to go ahead and crack open these brushes just to get a feel for them. It does look like it comes with 2 sizes of brush. Seal this up before I lose any of the hanging bits. So we have a flat brush that I guess would be more for larger areas, and then a very thin brush that would be more for those detailed areas. So I am going to go get myself some water and get myself a good, clean, hard surface to work on. And we're going to get started and see how it goes. I'm back with day 2 of the paint by number project. I started it last night and I think I'm going to continue working on it today. I do not have any illusions that I'm actually going to finish the first canvas today. I wanted to talk though a little bit about the things I love about it and the things I don't like about it, and then my challenges with the kit as a disabled person with my specific disabilities. Today I'm in my chaotic, messy office area. Usually I film in my bedroom because it's got a nicer backdrop and is much cleaner. But my office is kind of where I let my creative freak flag fly, and I have everything just in the chaos. But one thing that I'm having a big issue with is I have a permanent hand tremor and I have problems with my grip strength. So with the hand tremor, there's a lot of very fine details in this painting. And I don't know if that's true for all paint by number kits or just this one in particular. But for me, the very tiny detail areas, I'm having trouble getting the detail areas done properly without my hand tremor becoming too bad and like straying too far outside the lines. I'm trying just to cover it and hope that it doesn't make too big of a difference. But there are areas that I'm not able to paint precisely or stay inside the lines the way that I would hope to in a kit like this. I'm also having a lot of trouble with grip strength, so I'm having to pause a lot more or only do like 1 or 2 sections of the painting at a time and then stop for a while. So I'll do a section of the painting and then go do something else that doesn't require any grip strength from me, and then come back and do a second section of the painting and then go do something else. So I'm trying to give my hands a break in this. If grip strength is something that you struggle with, that may be something that you need to keep in mind, because it is holding a paintbrush for a very long time, and that's not something I really considered. I was like, oh, this will be a fun, easy craft. For me, I didn't think about the amount of grip that painting requires for long periods of time. I do have some specific problems with the kit itself. You'll notice that, and I don't know how well you can see this, the paint is very thin, and this was me getting a lot of paint on there. You can still see the number through. So I'm afraid that there are sections that I'm going to have to go over a couple of times. And that's not just like, oh, the sun is shining through and that's why you can see it. Even if I block that out, you can still really see through that. And you could see through it on the desk too. So I feel like there's going to be sections that I have to go over again. And my problem with that is, as someone who's having trouble holding on to the brush, any amount of repainting I have to do means that I'm having to stick with this canvas twice as long. And I just wish that the paint were a little bit more covering, more full coverage, that I didn't have to feel like I need to do 2 coats on things. Especially because while I do think there is enough, there's plenty of paint in here, I worry about, one, once you've painted it, it's not going to be easy to see the numbers to go back and repaint. You might risk painting a different color over the color, and you don't want to do that. But then you also, there's a situation where you're worrying about, I don't know, just getting it right, basically. My other concern is some of the areas the numbers are printed so small, or they're not printed standard in the space. I don't know if you can see here. I think that is supposed to indicate a 7, but I'm really not sure. And there's another place where the number is, oh, here, where it's like, that's 10. I think. I'm trying to see the best way to show you. That's a number 10. I understand they have to squeeze these numbers into super small spaces, but I almost wish that they had a separate guide as well that would sit alongside it, that you could match the numbers with this, that would point the numbers a little more directly, so you're not having to really strain to see the numbers in the project. Because for me, there were some numbers that I'm just going on vibes and hoping that I got the right thing, because the guide is literally this big. Or I can pull up the listing on Amazon, but that's not as true to color, I noticed when I was looking at it, as the painting. And so you're just, again, going on vibes. We're going to give it a go. We're going to try to do some more today, and we're going to see how far we get. Because I really do want to see this finished canvas. I really want to see it finished. But I've done 2 colors out of 12. So I'm not optimistic that I'm going to get it done anytime soon. But we have the whole weekend to just paint and read and vibe and catch up on some shows. So I'm a little bit behind on shows that I need to watch for my podcast with Sophie Alex and They Weren't Roommates. Shameless plug there. So that's what my weekend is going to be. I've got my coffee, I've got my laptop, I've got some books that need to go back to the library, and I'm just going to be painting and taking breaks to rest my hands and do other things. So I'm losing my light. I think this is going to end up being the end of day 2. And I've actually made a lot of progress compared to where I left off yesterday. I have learned a few things as I've been going. One of them is yesterday I really thought you needed to stay inside the lines on every single thing that you painted. And today I'm realizing that it's actually better if you go outside the lines a little bit, enough to cover the line that you're working on. I don't know if I made the right move by starting with the actual image first, and I'm going to go back and do the background color last and then touch it up with the interior color, because I was afraid with some of these places being so small that I might lose some of the numbers in painting that background color. So I may have made a mistake by doing that. I don't know, but we'll see. I also realized as I was going that if there was an area that I felt like didn't get enough coverage, and I had opened up a similar color with the purple and the purple, this pinkish color and this beige next to it, and if I was going over an area and I realized that I could see the number really well through it or could see the line, if I just took a little bit of that similar color in a different shade and went over that number or went over that line a little bit, it actually brought a lot of depth into the painting, even though I was painting like wrong color basically on that area. So I think by going off number a little bit, it was actually making it my own, but also bringing some depth out in the painting itself. And I like how it's turning out. You can definitely see the progress I'm making. You can definitely see the image starting to come together a little bit. And I think that now that I've got the hang of it, and now that I know to go back and cover up those things with a second coat of paint, even if it's not the same color, now that I know to go outside the lines a little bit and cover up those lines with a broader stroke of paint, I'm feeling a little bit more confident and a little more comfortable in the paint by numbers process. So I'm on day 3, I think, of the painting project, and I'm actually almost done. I think the only things I have are color 11, which is mostly the background color, and the main space taking color of the image. You see color 11 goes all over the background. This large space here. It's a few smaller spaces there. So that's the bulk of the painting. And then also a few places that I think maybe I missed when I was doing the initial colors. And I think I also have like 3, maybe. There's one color that I haven't gotten to yet. So I'm almost done. And then I have a few places that I want to go in and touch up because I just don't feel like I got a good enough coat or didn't cover the line very well or didn't cover the number entirely. Yes, Lolo, I hear you. A few things that I've learned from this project. One, I noticed that I'm relying on the thin brush a lot for this project. I think I'm really nervous to use the thicker brush even in the larger spaces, and I think some of that has to do with my hand tremor, that I'm afraid of accidentally jerking the brush and going too far out of the space. So that may just be my own fears working with that. I do think that I would probably progress faster if I would use the larger brush in those larger spaces. I've just been super uncomfortable doing that. There are several places that I actually wish I had a thinner brush in because I feel like I have to do a single fine line, and the brush that I have that's really thin that came with the kit, I don't feel is quite thin enough in some instances. So I wish that I had a thinner brush in my own personal craft closet, or that it came with a thinner brush. It doesn't, and I don't have one. So if I continue to do these kits, this may be something that I want to look at picking up. And if you try one, you may want to consider picking one up or seeing if you have one on hand. because I think that's something that would be really handy. I also have noticed, for me, I've been working, yes, Lolo, I hear you. She is yapping like crazy today, and I think it's because she has a friend who has been visiting the window and talking a lot to her, and now her friend is inside and away, and we've got the windows closed for the night, and so she doesn't have anybody to talk to, so now she's like extra chatty. But one thing I've noticed is a lot of the times I will use craft products between scrolling through my phone or between doing other things, and the phone or the other things are more of a dopamine giving task, and this is more of like a break from the dopamine fix to like help me slow down and help me do something more productive or more creative, but it doesn't give me the dopamine rush that scrolling through my phone does. It doesn't give me an instant hit of the pure, oh, I'm so excited, I want to do this. And it's not even like I want to be scrolling my phone, just the way that my brain chemistry is just like, this is addictive, this is fun, this is enjoyable. And it's just, I think the way that scrolling becomes such a habit and an addiction. And I've noticed that now on day 3 of doing the painting, I actually noticed that I'm not picking up my phone as much. And even though I've had to take breaks on the painting to make sure that my hands are well taken care of because of my grip problems, I find myself thinking, how long until I can get back to the painting? How long until I can do more painting? So for me, I haven't wanted to scroll my phone. I haven't felt like picking up my phone to scroll. I felt like, when can I get back to doing the painting? When can I get back to the creative task? So my screen time has actually gone down today, and that's been really great. I also noticed the first day and even the second day, I was spending quite a bit of time painting while watching a show or painting while listening to a podcast, because all of my creative projects have been something that I do as something to do with my hands while I have a conversation, while I consume content, while I engage with something else. It's always crocheting and quilting and painting. And this evening I realized that I sat down to paint and I didn't turn anything on, and I just sat here in silence and painted. And I just sat with my thoughts, and I sat and focused on the meditative nature of the brush strokes going on the canvas. And I sat and thought about how nice the colors look together. And I wasn't thinking about, oh, I need this background noise. Oh, I need to listen to this person speak about whatever political thing is happening in the world. Or I really need to listen to this book talk video. Or oh, I need to hear this thing that I need to be engaged with. I could just sit and enjoy the process of the painting. And it didn't feel like my brain had to be activated to any one specific thing. So for me, that is such a huge thing. I think especially with having ADHD, to be able to just sit and focus on one thing. And I don't know that that would be true of other crafts if I got really into a specific other thing. But for me to be able to just sit here and enjoy the process and enjoy painting without the added background noise of other things was such a big deal to me. So I'm very excited about that. I'm excited because I think I will be able to finish this one tomorrow. I do also wish that I had actually done my favorite of the set last. The reason I picked my favorite one first is because for me, the ADHD gremlin in me sometimes wants to do a project so bad, and I do it and then I get bored and the others get stashed in my closet and just sit untouched for years. So I thought, I want to do my favorite canvas first. And then if the other 3 get stashed in the closet and I never touch them again, that's okay, because I did my first one. I did my favorite one. It's already done. Unfortunately, I feel like I have improved as I have done this process, and I've gotten better as I've gone along. And I wish that I had used one of my least favorite images as more of a practice like canvas and improved the images on one of the least favorite ones, and then saved this one for when my skills were more refined, because it turns out I really like this and I actually want to continue doing this. And I don't think this hyperfixation is going to leave anytime soon. So I think that I actually am going to make it through all 4 canvases, hopefully, which means I probably would have had time to do this painting and done it with better skills in the end. But that's okay. You live and learn, and I don't think it's turning out badly. I'm not disappointed in this. I think it's turning out nicely. I just wish that I would have saved it for the last one, I guess. But we'll see how it ends up when I've finished it. I finished the painting. This is what it looks like now that it's done. And I want to talk about the accessibility overall with this kit. I haven't done the other 3 paintings yet, but I have some thoughts after finishing the first one. First of all, I actually really like how it turned out, and at a distance you really can't tell that some of the numbers you can actually still see. If I put it up close, you can still see a few of the numbers, but you really can't see that at a distance. It looks really good at a glance, and I think when it's hanging on the wall, it will look decent. So I don't have any problems with that at all. When it comes to accessibility, I have some thoughts. Now, I do want to give a disclaimer that I can't really speak to every form of accessibility when it comes to a craft. I can only really speak to those that I have personal knowledge with, whether that's my own disabilities or disabilities that a close friend or family member has that I have pretty serious personal knowledge about. So if I don't tell you whether or not this kit would be accessible to you, I'm sorry. I'm only going off of what I have some form of personal knowledge with. When it comes to accessibility, I think this is hit or miss like most crafts. One of the biggest problems I had was accessibility from a vision standpoint. I had a lot of trouble seeing the numbers. I had a lot of times where I did have one section that I had to go back and repaint a lot of it, because I don't know if this was a me problem where I had mistakenly read several of the numbers being one thing and they were another thing. So I painted a huge section black, and then it needed to actually be, I think, a couple different shades of purple. I don't know if I misread it, if it was misprinted, or because the areas were so small, when I had painted other things, maybe I had painted over the numbers and just thought that I had saw part of the number a certain way. But I did have to go back over and repaint those areas once I saw the image come together. And to me, from an accessibility standpoint, I feel like vision-wise, I was not doing well with this kit. I think the accommodations that I could have made for myself would have been to wear magnified reading glasses, would have been to get a really strong magnifying glass, would have been to get one of those nice large magnifiers that one uses for embroidery or something like that, that can cover the whole space. Those would have all been reasonable accommodations that probably would have helped me with this. But accommodations can be very expensive, and accommodations like that aren't typically covered by insurance. It's usually an out-of-pocket expense to buy an accommodation for a hobby. Another thing that I had a lot of problem with was grip. This came up both in gripping the paintbrush and also in opening these containers. I had a ton more trouble than I expected opening and closing the container pots of paint. These were super hard for me a lot of the time, and the more painting I did, the harder this became for me, because my hands wear down over time. And so when I was painting over a period of days, I was having more strain on my hands, and therefore I was having more trouble with this. Some accommodations that I could have had in terms of opening the paint pot would have been to ask my kiddo or my caregiver to open the paints for me. But that's not an accommodation that everyone has. If you live alone and you don't have a caregiver, then how would you be opening these? There may be something like some sort of tool that you can use, like those jar openers, because there is a little lip on these. So there may be something that could accommodate the opening, but I don't think it would work with those soda tab openers or anything, just because it's not like proper soda tab sort of opening experience. But there might be something that could help open these. I also might have had better luck if I had opened all of them at once, rather than the way that I did it, where I was opening one at a time and then closing it so my cats wouldn't get into it as much. And so that may have exacerbated the issue for me personally. I will say, in terms of my pots, my Ehlers-Danlos, I didn't notice a lot of problems in terms of joint pain or pressure that it was putting on me, other than just if you're painting, you sit for long periods of time. I did like that it was something that I could do sitting down. If I needed to, I think I could have done it lying down in bed with myself propped up or elevated with a tray table. This is something that I think could have been easy to accommodate seated or standing. I could have done it at a couch. I could have done it in a hospital bed. I could have done it in a lot of different spaces. In terms of, this is very good for anyone who needs to be seated while doing an activity. This is great. For me personally, if I'm sitting for too long, that can be something that puts a lot of strain on my body, both from my joints and also in terms of blood pooling and problems like that. So for me, I just kind of looked at it as a standpoint where I knew that after each color, that was a time to go, take a break, hydrate, rest a little bit, change position, and come back to it later. In terms of ADHD, I feel like this is great it's a great craft to hyperfixate on. You can sit there and just focus and crank it out in an afternoon if you really want something to hyperfixate on. I feel like if I didn't need to change positions, if I wasn't having trouble with my hands, this would have been something that I years ago could have just sat down and just done the whole thing in an afternoon or evening and just really enjoyed. So in terms of fun hyperfixation kind of activity, this is it. It's also great because with it being quiet, it's fun to do while you listen to a podcast on a favorite interest or something like that. Is it a take and go stim kind of activity? Yes and no. I don't think it's one that you can use to stim creatively on toss it in your bag and take it on public transit. Toss it in your bag, take it to the family barbecue. It doesn't really work for that. This is not crochet or a small sewing project in that sense. It's a little bit too messy for that. But this would be great if you are having a catch-up night with the friends and all of you are bringing a craft to work on. I think this would absolutely be a suitable, pretty portable activity because you literally need your brushes and this and something to rinse with. So that's pretty portable, pretty simple. I think that is something that could be a grab and go activity. So I do think it's possible that this is semi-portable. In terms of sensory needs, I didn't notice any major problems. If you are someone with a sensory aversion to metal, there is a small strip of metal on the paintbrush. There is with most paintbrushes. You could probably accommodate that by taping over the strip of metal. I didn't notice that I got much paint on my hands except for as a left-handed person, but also as someone who prefers to paint left to right. I did get a little bit of paint on my hand. The very end, I got paint on my hand one time, but I didn't notice that I was getting anything sticky or like super painty on my hands or anything. So from a sensory perspective, I think this is a pretty safe craft. You're not messing with anything sticky. You're not messing with any sensitive fibers, anything like that. Oh, and in terms of grip, I do think that maybe I also could have accommodated myself by getting paintbrushes that had some sort of better grip mechanism on them. The pencil grips, I know that they make paintbrushes that are designed with a better grip mechanism. That's probably something I could have done. I also could have worn my compression garments for my fingers. That might have helped me. So I do think there are some accommodations. I just also think this probably is less of a hobby for someone who has problems with grip, especially with the included supplies. The other accommodation that I think pretty heavily about, simply because disability and money go pretty hand in hand, especially if you're someone with a limited income like me, or someone living on something like Social Security, like SSI, or just like a medical sort of situation, or have heavy medical expenses, then you're going to want to know what this craft costs. I can't speak to every single paint by number kit, but this one specifically that came with the 4 canvases, 4 sets of paint, and 4 sets of paint brushes, this was, at the time I'm filming this, so obviously prices can change, I want to say it was $12.99 with a coupon that brought it down to $11 something on Amazon. Obviously, Amazon, not always the best place to shop, but you also have to remember that for the disabled, there aren't a lot of other places that can deliver things quickly to our door with free shipping. So there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. You just have to consider that, especially for the disabled community. And I'm not saying that absolves everyone of everything or shopping from Amazon or things like that, but this is relatively on the affordable end because you get 4 crafts that give you a pretty large amount of time investment. I think I spent a good few hours on this, and it's one of 4 canvases in the set. So at $11, this would have worked out to about $3, and I got several hours of enjoyment out of it. So to me, that is decent on the price scale. For me, that would be a month worth of crafting to do all 4 of them. And so at $11 to $12, that's not bad, I think, personally. Overall, I would definitely do more paint by numbers. I will do the other 3 canvases, but I also feel that it's not the most accessible craft overall if you have hand grip issues. That's just my opinion. Again, I did get this for free for review purposes, so any opinions are my own. I'm never going to tell you I like something if I don't like it, or that something's great if it's not great. I'm going to be honest, but I do want to give that disclaimer. If you want this kit, I will try to link it below. I will try to If it's not available, give alternatives to it. But that's my thoughts. Do you want to see me do the other 3 paint by numbers in this set? Do you want to see me do more paint by numbers? Do you like doing paint by numbers? Do you want me to review the accessibility of other crafts, or show you what comes in other crafts, or try out other craft kits that come from Amazon or other online stores? Let me know what kinds of crafts you want to see on this channel, because I'm honestly not sure what to do. I thought the paint by numbers one would be fun, but I am open to suggestions, open to ideas, especially in terms of talking about crafting and disability and the intersection between the two. So if you have any thoughts, if you have any ideas, if you have any questions about whether or not I think this craft would be accessible for a certain aspect of disability, let me know in the comments below, and I would be happy to try my best to answer that. Definitely subscribe if you like crafts, and if you like books, and if you like conversations on disability. But I think that is all for today, so bye. I messed up. I thought last night that my process all along has been finish the painting, immediately go wash the brush that I was using. And last night I finished the painting and then filmed my thoughts and wrap-up video that was like a few minutes long. And my goal was to then go wash the brush, but instead I just walked away. So now this brush is hard and stiff and paint covered. And I need to somehow try to revive it. In the meantime, I think I'm just going to swap to one of the brushes from the other kit, because it looks like the brush duo in each kit is the same. So it doesn't really matter which brush I use in terms of like from which kit, because I'm not sharing the kits with anyone else. I'm just using them myself. I just need to remember to actually put one of these back with the other kit when I'm done, in case I don't continue doing them back to back to back. Does anyone have any ideas on how to get paint out of a paintbrush that you left there overnight, or is this one just dead? So my plan is to paint some more, but somebody's in my chair. How am I supposed to move this precious little angel out of my chair? I guess I have to wait, even though Lolo does say that it's painting time.